We will try to get out the best we can with multiple endings, but since we chose him as our attracted... As everyone began to wander off, Felix and Adrian stood still. They felt each other's presence, yet both were not that quick to start a conversation. Adrian began. This town is astonishing with its harsh contrasts. Lumi glanced up at Adrian, giving him a questioning look. Just recently we were discussing this strange darkness, the mysterious change in the city, he clarified, and now it's quieter than ever. Lumi asked, "What do you think about it?" "You're quite a detective, aren't you?" chuckled Adrian. "I'm even more curious to hear your opinion." "Mine?" Lumi was taken aback. "It feels like something is lurking beneath the surface, something I can't quite grasp." "But there has to be a logical, scientific explanation. There always is," Adrian said. Lumi hesitated for a moment, then mustered up the courage to say what had been weighing on his mind. I wanted to thank you for inviting me." Adrian, somewhat surprised by Lumi's openness, said, "I'll always be there here for you. We're in this together, no matter what." "Together," smiled Lumi, "a compelling proposition. I feel we're going to meet again very soon. Call me whenever you're ready." Adrian yawned wearily, a clear indication that the reunion was coming to an end. They exchanged warm, promising nods, heading their separate ways. "Until then," Lumi whispered, turning to take one last look at the fox. Lumi, now alone, was slowly making his way to the hotel, obvious to the late hour. Still mesmerized by the quiet ambiance of the night, he was pondering on the reunion. His thoughts reached an abrupt end when the cobblestone path led him to an unexpected sight, an odd alleyway hidden in the shadows. Lumi had roamed these streets countless times before. He could have sworn this corner had never been here. Shivers went down his spine. It seemed like it had appeared out of nowhere. How was it possible? Intuition warned him of possible dangers, yet the alley seemed to be beckoning him to explore. Oh no. Explore the alley or go to the hotel. So what happens if we explore this alley? You know what? We're gonna... Lumi couldn't resist. Stepping out of the quiet street, the alleyway seemed to fall even more silent. Breathlessly watching his every step, the air grew colder, something that was resonating with a part of him he couldn't quite remember. As he ventured deeper into the alley, he felt an unworldly hum resonating in his very heart. He now could see vapor when he exhaled. Each breath created a tiny cloud in the air. The path led him to a hidden courtyard. He knew this town like a book, yet this was his first time seeing this place. The courtyard's heart revealed an abandoned playground. At the entrance of this concealed nook, the serpentine figure stood sentinel. It seemed like it had eyes and was gazing right at Lumi. A fragmented memory teased him. The playground beckoned, a pull both familiar and foreign. Interact with the playground, observe. You know what? It's weird to see a playground here. We're gonna do this. With cautious anticipation, Lumi quivered as he delicately lifted a stick from the ground. He slowly approached one of the mysterious inhuman figures. For a moment he held back, scrutinizing the figure. It was made of stone, bearing a resemblance to the moon's surface. Lumi threw the stick aside and leaned closer to the figure, expanding his paw before hastily retracting it. The statue seemed to respond to the gesture. It pulsated, taking Lumi's mind to uncharted territories. The courtyard seemed to breathe, a life of its own hidden within the stones, house, and trees. Lumi looked around. A green mist, resembling creatures from the other world, began to take its form, swirling around. Lumi caught in its enchanting dance, felt an irresistible magical pull towards the unknown. Was this a dream, a fleeting figment, or his untamed imagination? Or could it be something more tangible, more profound. We're not poking that. We're not touching it. Lumi stood still, watching as the shapes danced around the courtyard. He felt a sense of anticipation building within. Without any words, they seemed to invite him on a journey, one that might reveal something he hadn't yet known. The courtyard began to fade as the playground transformed. Trees, mist, swings, and an inhuman statue shifted and merged, bridging the gap between worlds. And then, without warning, everything went dark. Oh no, I hope I didn't kill him. I did not. Okay. When Lumi opened his eyes, he was greeted by the gentle rays of morning sunlight seeping through the windows. His heart raced, and the intricate detail of the courtyard remained vividly etched in his mind, refusing to fade away. Lumi felt that the town's secrets were calling to him. How could such a place exist right under his nose, in his own hometown, completely unbeknownst to him? The sudden appearance of the alley, coupled with the unsettling talk of a darkness during the reunion, all coincide into an intricate puzzle. When Lumi opened his eyes, he was greeted by the gentle rays of morning sun. The windows, the night's mysteries might have been left behind, but the questions remained, gnawing at him. Today called for answers. With his coat on, Lumi stepped out of the hotel. The irresistible scent of a freshly brewed coffee lured him into a cafe up ahead. Its vintage sign and pastry display beckoned like a familiar old tune. Approaching the cafe, his gaze shifted. There she was, a solitary figure. His heart sank. She sat at a corner table, seemingly lost in her coffee cup. Isabella. Her beauty remained undeniable, yet it seemed as though something had muted her aura. Isabella, he said, voice containing a mix of relief and concern. Her eyes briefly met his, a spark fading away quickly. The air grew denser as Lumi sat across from Isabella. We missed you at the class reunion yesterday. Everyone was wondering about you, Lumi began, putting his coffee down. A strange smile crossed her lips. I bet it was a fun night, lots of stories, I'm sure. We hope to meet up with you, Lumi continued. Everyone had news to share, things they've done, milestone they've reached. We only wish you were there to share yours. Isabella stirred her coffee, persistently avoiding eye contact. Ah, milestone, she sighed. Perhaps another time. Lumi caught the reluctance in her voice, just a shadow of the vibrant energy she once radiated. Is everything all right? You seem distant. I'm fine, she insisted, though her tone was a fragile veil. I simply didn't want to bring a cloud to your sunny gathering. It was like she was talking to a stranger, aloof and unfamiliar. Lumi recalled the girl who once stood at the center of every circle, the queen of their class. Her absence at an event she would have once ruled was a silence that spoke volumes. Is it the town, the darkness everyone's talking about? He cautiously asked. Their gazes locked, and in that fleeting moment he saw a flicker of alarm betraying her calm facade. You should stay far away from it. It's not what it seems. Isabella, what troubles you? He persisted. Just stay away, she uttered, the tension in her gaze lingering a second longer before retreating. This place, her eyes darted nervously, scanning the once familiar street. Just stay away, she uttered, the tension in her gaze lingering a second longer before retreating. This place, her eyes darted nervously, scanning the once familiar street, as if the town itself had transformed into a stranger. It's no longer the same, and maybe neither are we. It wasn't just her words that weighed heavily on him, but rather her tone, expressions, and body language. Everything spoke louder than her mouth. Lumi sensed something deeper beneath the surface. We should catch up again before I leave. I still have a couple days here, Lumi suggested. We'll see, she smiled, her voice softening up. It was nice meeting you, Lumi. As Lumi watched Isabella leave, he couldn't help but ponder on the burden she carried. She had once been the center of their class universe, the sun around which everything revolved. Now she resembled more of a fading star, distant and enigmatic. Okay, so it's time to explore the town, covering mysteries, access the map. You can also take a look into Lumi's bag. He may use these items in the game. Okay. This character stats are under construction, coming soon. We have a flashlight. Map. Okay, the quest log is under construction as well. So let's see. From Horizon Hills, one could see the entire town from all its nooks and crannies. The beauty of the sight was breathtaking. Horizon Hills offered more than just artistic inspiration. It was once a peaceful sanctuary for those seeking solace from the chaos of everyday life. Under the tree, charming green fireflies gracefully flickered. Can I? Okay. Outside the town's limits, where the hum of civilization faded, lay the dump, the uneven terrain. The area of forgotten tales and abandoned inspirations was littered with time-worn remnants. Okay, let's go here. Standing in solemn silence, the old factory was a monument to times gone by. Rust brutally wounded its steel, and while nature's embrace tightened with every vine. Lumi found himself surrounded by high-rise flats. Looking up at the buildings, he thought about Clara, Isabella, and their lives within these walls. It wasn't just uniformity and sterility of the blocks that weighed on him. It was also the hidden shackles of financial restraints. The chemical solvent plant stood in the heart of the town's industrial area. Its sharp, geometric shape dominated the surroundings. Can I interact with anything? The riverside walk provided a picturesque view of the calm waters where anchored sailboats sat idle. Warm lanterns illuminated the space. Soft jazz, conversations, and laughter filled the air. Can we, oh. The name no longer accurately represented the charm of the place. Over time, the pub had evolved into a welcoming restaurant, and it was partly Clara's doing. In her green apron, she was circling around the tables, making sure everyone was satisfied. Here, everybody felt relaxed with the simple pleasures of tasty food and great company. Lumi entered the restaurant, scanning the room for a place to sit. Spotting an empty table, he made his way towards it. As he approached, he noticed Clara. Lumi waved his hand. Her eyes immediately lit up, and she hurried to Lumi's table. "Welcome to your old pub," she said playfully. "How can I help you?" Lumi chuckled. "Oh, they still call it that?" "Yep," she replied, maintaining her mockingly professional persona. "If you have any complaints, I can bring you our book of complaints and suggestions." She finally couldn't contain her laughter. "Well, surely I will need one," Lumi played along. "I'm so glad to see you again," she said. "Well, I just wanted to stop by," Lumi said, looking up at Clara. "I'm not hungry, just wanted to say hi." Her previously witty demeanor had gone in an instant. "Is everything all right?" "Of course," she paused. "I just remembered something very important." Her paw slipped into her back pocket, revealing a yellowish envelope. "Here," she held it out to Lumi. Her paw trembled slightly. I was supposed to give this to you a long time ago." Just then, guests entered the restaurant. "I have to go," she said. "Can we talk later?" "Definitely," Lumi, confused, watched as she walked away. He sat there staring at the envelope for a moment. He noticed the red wax seal and the neatly written address. He read, "To Lumi from Clara." Just click around. Because apparently that's what we were supposed to do. Let us see this. Open it. Read it. Lumi decided not to read the letter in front of Clara. Oh. He thought it would be appropriate to read it somewhere outside of the pub. Think it through and only then come back and talk to Clara. Oh, okay. Damn. Along the cobblestone pathway, cafes provided a serene setting. Tables were bathed in a warm golden light spilled from the interiors. Residents strolled along the promenade, discussing everyday matters. The trees around the building swayed gently, while inside the constant hum of machinery provided a steady backdrop. Within these pristine walls, Felix found his daily grind, yet for all its gleaming perfection, an intangible tension hung in the air. Lumi could sense it. Something about this place didn't sit right, though pinpointing the cause remained out of reach. Living here was an affordable solution. Real estate prices in the town's heart skyrocketed, making the charm of the central homes an unattainable dream for many. Four figures caught Lumi's attention. All gazed at him. An unsettling feeling of unease crept in. The weight of their collective stares, coupled with the stifling atmosphere, felt like a warning. The message was clear. Staying here might not be a wise idea. Lumi remembered listening intently to his father's stories of his visits to this place. The sagging beams of the factory were a reminder of the dangers lurking within its decaying walls. Lumi realized it wouldn't be safe to go in. He continued on his path, leaving the factory to its quiet slumber. Tattered wood planks, rusted metal, broken glass, and fragments of the household memories sprawled in unkept piles. Sometimes there you could find curious things. Lumi felt the urge to capture one, to delicately hold its glow. Lumi could easily catch the fireflies, but it was unclear where to put them afterwards to preserve and take them with him. Lumi picked up the jar, wondering what he could use it for. The fireflies. I wish I had something to hold them with, Lumi murmured. The idea of owning a fragment of this beauty became intent. You do have something. Catch. I feel very upset for them, though, because hopefully you have a way to make them breathe. Lumi, scared to disrupt the spectacle, held his breath. He stepped closer with the jaw on his paws. The fireflies continued their dance, oblivious to Lumi's intent. Silently and suddenly, he swept a few of them into their new home. He put the jar full of fireflies back in his bag. They didn't seem to mind. Well, let's read it. Dear Lumi, I must admit I have no idea how to begin this letter. The mere thought of you reading this letter makes my stomach turn. Sometimes I wonder if I should give you this silly piece of paper. Do you remember our afternoons spent under the tree at the Horizon Hills? It was our special place, our secret from the rest of the world. Everything was so simple back then. I am here right now, so yes, it was very special. Growing up turned out to be totally different, didn't it? Everything has changed. The world, the town, us. It seems like our childhood days have come to an end, especially with this eerie, misty darkness creeping into the town. I'm not sure if this is what true adulthood feels like, or if something strange is happening. You know, I've been wondering about us lately. It may sound foolish, but sometimes I think about those what ifs. I guess what I'm trying to say is that our friendship has always meant the world to me, and maybe, just maybe, it could have been something more. No matter what, I want you to know how much our friendship means to me. This letter can change nothing, or it can change everything. Regardless, I'm glad to put these words down on paper. Take your time, Lumi. Just know that whenever you choose, I will always support you. Take care, Clara. Well, I'm gonna explore the rest of the town first, and then we will talk to her. Surrounded by protective trees, the square held a special place in Lumi's heart. The square was filled with light. A street musician entertained a captivated crowd where foreign tourists explored the area. The cave's terrace was packed with guests enjoying the nice weather and food. The bear's fingers dance upon the strings, weaving in a melody that feels laden with unspoken stories. Softly, almost lost beneath the music, words in a language unfamiliar to Lumi float through the air. Though the meaning eludes them, the sentiment does not. A poignant sense of destiny, of being gently steered by unseen hands, as if everything is going according to some hidden plan. Lumi eyed the guest book, sensing Bertie's discreet but firm caution against it. He understood some things at the corner inn were meant for private eyes only. Deciding not to overstep, Lumi stored the thought for later. There'd be a chance to explore its secrets when Bertie wasn't around. Lumi gently placed his paw on the sleek, shiny black phone on the reception desk. He dialed a number that was all too familiar. "Hello?" Adrian's voice came through the phone, calm and uncomposed, making Lumi's heart skip a beat. "It's Lumi," he said, his fingers touching the coiled wire of the telephone. "Lumi," rejoiced Adrian. The cat's observant eyes met Bertie's cautious gaze, and the latter quickly shifted his focus back to work. "I just wanted to let you know that I ran into Isabella today." "How is she?" Adrian's voice remained unhurried, as if carefully considering his various possibilities. Lumi leaned closer to the phone, whispering to ensure the badger wouldn't overhear. "She seems all right, safe, but also somewhat distant," he revealed. "Interesting," pondered Adrian. "I've been thinking about our talk about the town's darkness." Lumi listened intently. "How about we meet at the Verdant Cafe and discuss everything over a cup of tea?" "Sure," he replied. As the conversation reached its end, they both were reluctant to hang up. "Then meet me there," finally spoke the fox. "Deal." With that, Lumi put the headset back in its place. And we are on a date. The moment Lumi stepped into the cafe, he was greeted by the hypnotic aroma of freshly baked bread. Adrian, already settled comfortably at the table, greeted Lumi. "Oh, Lumi," he said warmly, extending his paw towards the seat beside him. A silent invitation to join. The fox's face was basking in the gentle caress of the sun rays. As Lumi took the seat, Adrian poured the tea into the cups and the fragrant steam curled upwards. "This place hasn't changed much, has it?" Lumi remarked, gazing around. "The same charm as when we were kids." "Yes." Adrian looked at Lumi. "Some things retain their beauty despite the passage of time." The cat's gaze fixed on the landscape before him. The familiar sight stirred memories from his childhood. "It's scary," Lumi said, "how beneath that beautiful, almost cloudless exterior, something horrifying creeping around." "Life is full of contradictions," Adrian mused. "The light and the dark, the beauty and the horror, they coexist. It's as if the brightness only serves to magnify the shadows," the cat picked up. "You're absolutely right," affirmed the fox. "Sometimes the most beautiful things can hide in the darkest secrets. But that's what makes life so interesting, don't you think? It's in the darkest moments that we truly appreciate the light." You have a point, Lumi nodded, taking a sip of tea. But how can we bring light to something that remains in the shadows? Adrian smiled. We start by asking questions, by seeking knowledge, he replied. Adrian smiled. We start by asking questions, by seeking knowledge, he replied. It's through curiosity that we uncover the hidden truths. You never miss, Lumi looked at Adrian. The good company always pushes me to think in the right direction. Their gazes meet, and a spark of interest ignites between them. Lumi couldn't help but smile, a hint of shyness in his expression. I've always considered our town to be like a complex machine. Adrian filled the pause. Not just gears and levers, but a legacy of intricate engineering, and each is vital, playing their role in its functioning. Lumi felt a connection flickering in his mind. A machine. That reminds me of... Your father's work? Adrian interjected, smiling. He was a true master of his craft. He gazed down at the teapot, much like you are. His lab, Lumi's eyes narrowed. I can't help but wonder if it holds the significance I believe it does. Sometimes the key to the future hides in the inventions of the past. To move forward, one must dare to look back. Silence fell upon them. The tension in the air was tangible. Lumi, Adrian began, his voice filled with hesitation. As we've grown and gone our separate ways, I can't help but feel that there's something important that we have yet to discuss. Lumi's understanding was immediate and unspoken. The weight of Adrian's words hung in the air, waiting to be discussed. A moment of vulnerability. Lumi is interested. Lumi is definitely open. I never spoke of it, Lumi finally admitted, because I thought I was the only one feeling it. Adrian shook his head. I should have said something sooner. It's never too late, Lumi implied. Adrian's demeanor brightened in an instant. Lumi, I want you to understand just how much you truly mean to me. Lumi nodded. I'm aware, he assured. Your invitation sparked a glimmer of hope in me. At first, I dismissed it as something foolish, but now I realize I wasn't just imagining things. He chuckled softly. So, hesitated Adrian, what now? I'm open to finding out, Lumi said tenderly. Adrian's eyes ignited, just first locking onto Lumi and then shifting towards the square. It was bathed in radiant sunshine, a perfect setting for this special occasion. Lumi noticed Adrian's gaze shifted towards the clock. Time to head out, Lumi inquired. Adrian nodded. Duty calls, as they both stood up. Until next time, Lumi. The next time indeed. Lumi bid farewell, the echoes of their conversation lingering in the air. And I'm gonna stop there for today. Hopefully you guys like the game so far, and I hope everyone has a good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it is for you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful one. Leave comments down below if you want to see more, but have a good one. Bye.